Pizza Hut was once an icon of melted cheese, a multi-billion-dollar empire with over 18,000 stores worldwide. But by this year, 5.7 billion in revenue had vanished, and hundreds of branches had quietly closed. In Europe, they lost over 100 million pounds. In Asia, a series of stores were forced to close. And in the US, right in its home country, Pizza Hut is in freefall. While Domino's is delivering by AI in 30 minutes, Pizza Hut is stuck in an endless meeting debating how much cheese to use in their ad. And so, the empire that once melted the hearts of Americans, Pizza Hut is now a prime example of outdated marketing textbooks. And this is the journey from the golden ovens of America to the cold ashes of Pizza Hut's digital delivery era. A name that everyone knows. Really, if Pizza Hut were an actor, it would undoubtedly be Hollywood's brightest star with an unmistakable appearance, bright red, glamorous, and always exuding the irresistible aroma of cheese. In 1958 in Kansas, brothers Dan and Frank Carney decided to start their business with $600 they borrowed from their mother. No investors, no marketing plan, just a small oven and big dreams. At that time, pizza was still an exotic dish, rarely seen in the United States. But the two brothers believe that, if this is delicious for us, it will be delicious for the whole world. They rented a small house near Wichita State University and hung a hand-carved wooden sign. There's only one problem. The sign is too small. They can only write exactly 8 characters. What kind of pizza now? After a few minutes of deliberation, they chose the word Hut, the Pizza Shack. No one expected that random name to become a global icon. On opening day, they gave away free pizza to students to attract customers. The aroma of hot cheese spread throughout the neighborhood, and within hours, a long line formed outside the door. Not just because the food was delicious, but because of the genuine enthusiasm of the two young men. From that small oven, a philosophy was born. Don't just sell pizza. Create a place people want to return to. That's why Pizza Hut has never been just a restaurant, but a place where family, memories, dates, and warm laughter begin. Little did they know that the small flame lit in that tiny kitchen would become a brilliant torch illuminating the global culinary industry. And then, as that dream grew, the whole world began to follow them, quite literally. Rewind to the mid-1970s, when America was in the golden age of eating out. The concept of the whole family going out for dinner on weekends is gradually becoming a ritual. And then Pizza Hut appeared, not just as a restaurant, but as a part of an entire generation's memories, a cultural landmark. In the 80s and 90s, Pizza Hut launched a series of gimmicks that caused the market to explode. Bigfoot Pizza, a giant 60-centimeter long pizza, accounted for 18% of the entire chain's revenue. Pan pizza, with a thick, crispy crust that retains heat so well, people say, even 30 minutes late, it still tastes as good as when it just came out of the oven. Stuffed crust pizza, add cheese to the crust, and that's how revenue increased by an additional $1 billion. An idea that seemed useless caused a sensation across the United States. Yes, just by adding extra cheese to the crust, they created a revenue earthquake. Americans didn't know what they needed until Pizza Hut put the cheese in the right place. At that time, 25% of the pizza sold in the United States bore the Pizza Hut logo. 7,500 stores, over 100 countries. Each street has a red roof, a symbol of prosperity. In fact, in the 1990s, Pizza Hut even became an American cultural ambassador, exported to the world. In Asia, eating at Pizza Hut is a symbol of modernity and American style. They say, if McDonald's sells fast food, then Pizza Hut sells the American dream of family. And amidst that glory, the Cheese King believed he would be immortal, that his throne would never waver. Pizza Hut doesn't just sell pizza, it sells a feeling of dominance, where every slice is a piece of happiness. But, like every other story of power, the king's greatest weakness was his pride. While Pizza Hut was still busy with the coronation ceremony, a stranger quietly stepped onto the stage and changed the entire fate of Pizza Hut. From a small dream, Pizza Hut gradually climbed the throne to become the global king of pizza. But in the culinary industry, there's not just one king. And then another king appeared, PepsiCo. A deal worth hundreds of millions of dollars turned Pizza Hut into the crown jewel of Pepsi. Sounds grand, doesn't it? But every empire has a curse. When a small brand is acquired by a large company, the dream is no longer the founders. It becomes an asset on the balance sheet. Pepsi was right to invest. They just don't care about pizza. Pizza Hut is no longer a culinary icon. It's the most effective Pepsi seller in the United States. And so it was. From a startup dream, Pizza Hut became a side hustle for a soft drink corporation. While Pizza Hut was busy adding more tables and chairs, another name was quietly rising: Domino's. And do you know what they're investing in? Yes. We are a lightning-fast delivery team. While Pizza Hut still believes customers will always come to dine in, Domino's believes the world will shift to ordering pizza delivered right to their door. Pizza Hut is building more restaurants. Domino's is building an app. And then, the table gradually emptied. It was a historic moment that no one realized, when victory became a burden. Pizza Hut still basks in its golden age, believing people will always enjoy dining in. But what they didn't know was that the world was shrinking into the palm of their hands. The phone is about to replace the entire restaurant. One click will beat the whole oven. What about Pepsi? It seems like at that time, they didn't care about innovation either. For them, Pizza Hut is just one item in their portfolio. When profits started to slow down, instead of restructuring, they just did the simplest thing: added more advertising, more cheese, more new products, but didn't change their thinking. They don't realize, when people change the way they eat, you can't keep serving them at the same table. And that was the original sin of the Pizza Hut empire, believing that human habits would never change. And while they were reveling in cheese and marketing campaigns, their competitor, Domino's, quietly became a tech company disguised as a pizza parlor. In the late 90s, Pizza Hut still thought they were the king. But the problem with a king is that when the throne is too high, they can't hear the footsteps of the rebels below the castle. Domino's doesn't open fancy restaurants. They have no red tables, no yellow lights, no sounds of children's laughter. What they had was a military-like delivery system and a single philosophy: pizza doesn't wait. It has to arrive before you're hungry. Meanwhile, Pizza Hut remains stuck in the past. They believe customers will always choose the warm experience of dining in. Mistake. The world no longer has time to sit still. By the late 2000s, things began to fall apart. Dine-in restaurants are empty. Sales are down. The red tile roofs that were once symbols have now become traces of slowness. Domino's is investing in its app. Pizza Hut invests in memories. In 2010, Domino's admitted their pizza was terrible, and then completely revamped their menu, systems, and technology. Meanwhile, Pizza Hut is still trying to add more cheese. One side really changed. One side changes the logo. One side is building a global 30-minute delivery network. One side is still advertising stuffed crust, more cheese than ever. And so, the sleeping king was overthrown. Then, in 2019, a shocking announcement: Pizza Hut is closing over 500 restaurants. The following year, 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic struck, and everyone was forced to stay home. An era of delivery is booming. That should have been a golden opportunity for a global pizza brand. But no. While the whole world orders Domino's on their app, Pizza Hut is still struggling to find ways to refresh the in-restaurant experience. Result: revenue plummeted. The largest franchisee, NPC International, filed for bankruptcy with over $1 billion in debt. At a time when everyone has to deliver, the only thing Pizza Hut can deliver is a bankruptcy announcement. They used to dominate 25% of the market share. Now it's less than 14%. They used to be symbols of America. Now it's a symbol of being outdated. Contrasting images. Domino's app tracks every order with GPS, while Pizza Hut still uses landlines and outdated branches. A harsh truth was revealed. Pizza Hut didn't lose because Domino's was strong. They lost because Domino's understood customers better. When the pandemic passed, Pizza Hut tried to recover. They're bringing back the old logo in hopes of evoking golden memories. But nostalgia couldn't save the smoldering empire. While Domino's calls itself a technology company disguised as a pizza shop, Pizza Hut has become a museum disguised as a brand. A brand that once shaped the childhoods of the entire world is now just a cautionary tale in business school. They used to teach the whole world how to eat pizza. But they forgot they had to learn how to survive in the new era. More than half a century after the Carney brothers first fired up the oven, the flame within has cooled. It's not because there's a lack of firewood, but because there's a lack of desire. Pizza Hut, a name that once captivated the world, is now just an echo of its golden age. And if you pay attention, that story isn't just theirs. It belongs to all of us. We were once young, and we believed that what we created would be loved forever. Then one day, the world changed its rhythm, and we were still in the same place. Pizza Hut didn't lose because the pizza was worse. They lost because they forgot the reasons people once loved them. In the old days, people went to Pizza Hut for the feeling of being together, not for the cheese, but for the connection. But when they turned that joy into an industrial assembly line, what was once an experience became a product. And that's when the fire in the first oven gradually died down. Perhaps the biggest lesson from Pizza Hut isn't the $5.7 billion that disappeared, but the intangible value they once created and then lost. The world is changing every second today. Technology, trends, and people all are moving forward. But one thing never changes: human emotion. Only when the brand, or each of us, can still touch that emotion can the flame burn forever. Pizza Hut might lose the delivery race, but if they know how to listen, they can still win back hearts. Because sometimes, failure isn't the end. It's just a reminder. It's time to start over with a new fire. If Pizza Hut is a symbol of a bygone era, the remaining question is, are we heading down their path? Perhaps no brand lives long without going through storms. Pizza Hut is the same. After years of struggling between the past and the present, that cheese giant began to wonder, who am I in a world of pizza that's changing every second? They realized the problem wasn't that the pizza wasn't good anymore, but that the dining experience had changed. Generation Z, the children who grew up with Pizza Hut, now order by phone, like to try new flavors, and prefer speed and convenience. And so, Pizza Hut began its transformation. They poured hundreds of millions of dollars into technology regeneration, a new app interface that's easier to order from and requires fewer clicks, an order tracking system as intuitive as Domino's, and the Pizza Reimagined campaign, bringing back the feeling of eating Pizza Hut from the old days, but in today's way. In the kitchen, they experimented with new recipes, from thin Italian crusts and fire-grilled cheese toppings to vegetarian pizzas in collaboration with Beyond Meat. An interesting handshake between tradition and the future. The cheese is still flowing, but the meat is greener. Not only did Pizza Hut change its menu, but it also changed its entire image. The old Red Roof restaurants are gradually being replaced by smaller, more compact and modern models, focusing on delivery and takeout. The Red Roof of yesteryear is now smaller, but the spirit of connection remains. A slice of pizza, a smile, a connection. The current Pizza Hut is no longer the pizza king of old, but rather an old warrior learning to run again. They were wrong, they fell, but they still got back up, with flour-covered hands and hearts as hot as an oven. Because there are symbols that never disappear. They're just taking a break to find themselves. And who knows, maybe one day, when you open a pizza box and catch a whiff of baked cheese that brings back old memories, you'll smile and say, "Ah, this is the Pizza Hut I used to love." Pizza Hut, once a symbol of joy, of warm evenings with family, of an era when people still had time to sit down together. But the world doesn't stand still, waiting for you to keep your memories unchanged. It moves and leaves behind those who fall asleep in the halo. Pizza Hut once won thanks to cheese, which is rich, soft, and loved by everyone. But they forgot that what brings people back isn't the cheese, but the feeling. They have billions of dollars in revenue, thousands of stores, millions of customers. But they've lost something that can't be bought with money: trust. The Pizza Hut story isn't just about pizza. It's a mirror reflecting every business and every person who has ever stood at the top. Success makes us proud. But it's pride that makes us stop learning. And when we stop learning, we begin to fall behind while the world keeps moving. In business or in life, no one is truly invincible. There are only two types of people: those who are learning and those who are about to be replaced. Pizza Hut taught us something that seems simple but is invaluable. Never let the fire in your oven go out, because when you stop stoking the fire, that's when the empire begins to fade. So, what about you? In this story, are you Domino's or Pizza Hut? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. I really want to hear your perspective on the lesson Pizza Hut left. Do you think they can still come back? Or has that flame been extinguished forever? If you enjoy these kinds of stories, where business is not just about numbers but very human stories, please subscribe to the channel, as we will be exploring many other once glorious empires together. Brands that once made the whole world look up and then disappeared overnight.